You are in the free speech zone. No safe spaces allowed. Nightcaps with Nate.
Coming to you live from just outside the swamp of the nation's capital. Get ready for invigorating talk, commentary, and debate on the issues affecting your life. Grab your favorite drink. It's Nightcaps with Nate. Now, here's Nate.
Hey, welcome back to Nightcaps and Nate. We are back on after a week off the air or the internet, whatever you want to call it, because I was in what should have been sunny Myrtle Beach. Hey, by the way, if you notice, I am wearing the Hood Samaritan cap. And if you want to get your own Hood Samaritan cap, just feel free to go to hood-samaritan.com. That is Jasper's company. He is a black conservative Second Amendment supporter and very big into father's rights, so I'm sure that some of the proceeds go to those causes, and you too can get your very own Hood Samaritan cap. I know it's under the little label there, so let me put it down there, and we will take that off now. So go to hood-samaritan.com. Hey, if you have not yet done it, like and follow our page. We have been growing substantially. Even while we were gone, we were growing, and go to our YouTube page and like that as well. Nightcaps with Nate. If you have not yet done so, make sure that you start a watch party. Start a watch party. Spread the word. Tonight we have on with us the usual Monday night guest host, Jasper. Jasper, what's up? Are you off mute?
What's up?
All right, good. And we have a special guest host, Kayla. Kayla Lombardi is actually a coworker of mine, which is awesome. And her husband's really big into the Second Amendment. She's also kind of I would say a tomboyish girl, because I see photos of her on Facebook and she's on her four-wheeler with her baby. And I mean, she kind of gets out there and does all that mud stuff that I don't even like the mud myself. If you want to comment, feel free to comment at Nightcaps and Nate. I know we will have watch parties. We do have some people that are monitoring it. However, mostly we are monitoring the comments on the Nightcaps and Nate page. Also, if you want to call in at any time, 443-247-5309, 443-247-5309. Make sure that if you do call in, that you remain on mute. Tonight, we're going to talk about some controversial subjects, and so I believe that the tough subjects need to be talked about in all different angles, shapes, and forms. To everybody who's already saying, hey, welcome back, thank you. Kathleen says, I like that hat, Nate. Like I said, hood-samaritan.com. And Jasper says, good-samaritan.com. Nope, it's hood. He played off the hood, so it's HOOD dash. Oh, you fixed it. Okay. And thanks for streaming. Oh, yep, he even put a link up there, so support our friend there. Hey, so how was everything while I was gone? You guys missed the show?
I missed being able to just say, hey, we need to talk about this tonight. You know, because it was a lot last week we needed to talk about. And this week too, but last week it's still going on, so we can still talk about it. But man,
it seems like the world's just been on fire. 2020.
Exactly.
World's on fire. And I think this is actually Kayla's been asking, hey, can I get back on the show? Can I get back on the show on a night that we're talking about these kind of things? The one show she wanted to do was when we were talking, this is way before the George Floyd thing, probably after the Ahmaud Arbery, but we were talking about black-white relations in the United States. So we were actually kind of first there on accident. And, she wanted to be on that. Well, now she's kind of going to get thrust into a little bit, because that's been the news for the last couple, 2-3 weeks, has been this craziness of 2020, whether it's COVID and politics and everything else. So, are you ready, Kayla? You ready to get thrown into the fire?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, first, some good news, okay? Because despite what the media wants you to believe, COVID-19 cases are spiking everywhere. They say, oh my God, it's going. There's a reason that the caseload is spiking. And what do you think it is? Why do you think it's spiking?
More people are going out.
Nope. That's not the answer I'm looking for. It's because we're doing more testing, way more testing. We are one of the highest per capita tested nations in the world now. Millions and millions of tests. So guess what's going to happen? So what does the media say? Instead of saying, hey, we got higher caseload because we have higher tests, they don't look at what I've been looking at from the beginning. And what I've been looking at from the beginning, you're going to see on your screen, is the new daily death rates in the United States. And if you look at the death rates on your screen, you will see that they are overall way down. In fact, yesterday's death numbers was at 300 and something nationwide, which sounds like a lot, but we're a country of 330 million people. And guess what? It's the lowest they've been since March 27th. So don't believe the media hype. I will tell you what happens in the media. I've studied this for years and years and years, in every election cycle, especially if a Republican is the incumbent running, they're going to make the world seem like it is on fire. And they're going to exasperate everything. And when you own 90% of the mainstream media, you can do that. You can make everybody so scared that they lock down and ruin the economy. You can make everybody believe that police shootings are up when actually they're down nationwide. I'm not taking away from George Floyd. All right? This whole show, I'm not going to take away from George Floyd. He was murdered at the hands of that one cop. Now, do I think all 4 of them should go to jail? Come to find out 2 of them were on their very first week of the job. I'm not sure that they should be criminally culpable when they were following the lead of the 2 more experienced officers. If you've ever been a cop or know a cop, guess what happens? When you come out of police academy, that is your basic training. But that's just very basic training. You still go and you actually follow a field training officer for real world training for the next year. And those 2 other cops were merely on their first or second week of the job. One, I think, was on his very first shift or second shift of the job. I'm not sure if they're criminally liable. They're training officers, yeah, but that's just my opinion. I know it's unpopular, but on this show, I'm always going to preach the truth. Even when it was uncomfortable for my Second Amendment white friends when Ahmaud Arbery got shot. I will always preach the truth on this show. So I'm going to preach the truth about COVID here too. And the truth is that if you live in a Democrat state of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, D.C., Louisiana, Michigan, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, your death rates are much higher than if you live in a red state. Even with all the media saying, oh, Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia rates are spiking way high. The second wave is coming. That's bullshit. Just put it out there. It's straight up bullshit. They're testing more people. Don't be scared by the media. You know what they're trying to set us up for? Because they lost all credibility? They're trying to set us up for mail-in voting. Point blank. They want you to be too scared to go to the polls and to demand that your politicians allow everybody to vote. Why? Because if a girl named, I don't know, let's make one up, Mary is living in Grandma Bertha's apartment, and she's a woke liberal, which a lot of them are at that age because they're indoctrinated by their high school and their colleges. Even if she can't legally vote, she gets Grandma's ballot in the mail. Grandma, she's like half senile. She don't remember. And she votes for Grandma. Boom, there's another vote for the Democrat Party. And you could say that takes so many millions. When you have elections decided by 10 or 15,000 votes nationally, for instance, Michigan, Trump won Michigan by 10,000 votes out of a state of over 9 million people. Those votes happen. They do it. Amber says, never again should they shut down. Kathleen, there are grown-ass men who knew right from wrong, and that was wrong. They should have stopped him. Even in the military, we were taught not to follow unlawful orders. Okay, then let's do this, Kathleen. Let's say you're straight out of boot camp. You're a fresh private, right? Just like you were and I was at one time. And you're E7. You just got deployed. Very first deployment. You just came out of boot camp at AIT, and he's like, hey, hurry up, gun that person down. And you don't have a chance to think. You're going to do what that E7 taught you because you were just conditioned to listen to your superior officers. Okay? So that's just my vote, not my vote. But if I was on a jury, I would vote to acquit them based on that alone. Again, not the senior officers, but the 2 that did. In fact, you know what? We got a couple people on here. What do you think, Jasper?
I believe the 2 officers who were going through the FTO, the field training program, they should have some leniency. However, it doesn't matter at this point that they got fired because the whole Minneapolis department is gone. Now, them getting arrested, like I said, I think they should have got some leniency. I think filing the charges on them are one thing. They shouldn't get convicted. Their cases should be dismissed, rightfully so. But those officers who have been on the job knew what they were
fry
doing.
them. Especially the one guy.
Them.
He should get life in prison, at minimum 40 to 50 years in prison, which is essentially a life sentence. Kayla, what do you think?
I mean, I think the same thing. I mean, yes, like it should be a little bit lenient, but as well, I don't think that this maybe not be the right job for them. I don't think they should have kept their job either. You're showing your true colors and you're showing what you think is right and what is wrong. Yeah, they were lower and on the totem pole, but if you see someone's going to lose their life, I think that's enough for you to stand up to your superiors. I mean, that's just maybe my thought, but I just feel like, yeah, maybe they shouldn't, be stuck in jail like the others should because of the fact that they obviously knew what was wrong, and I'm sure there was some fear in there because they were their superiors. But when you see someone's life,
And I
about
can
to
see
be,
both ways. I agree because even the
I
911
think,
operator came out and the 911 they said that even the operator who was watching it somehow was like, hey, told her supervisor, hey, they've been sitting on that neck for a long time, And I guess you're right. Kathleen says, okay, Nate, we can agree, disagree on that. Listen, this is not like me taking it to the bank disagreement. What I'm saying is they need to take that at least into an account before they lock those two young officers up for the rest of their life. I don't think
there's always a human decency argument, though. There's always it doesn't matter how long you've been on the job. You saw a man begging for his life on the ground under the knee of your coworker, scared or not, right or wrong, not knowing what you're doing or not. The human part of you comes out and say, hey, something's not right here. So, I mean, I understand that argument. That's my argument personally. But me taking personal feelings out of it, I wasn't the cop in that situation who was fresh from the job. I can't. I got to put myself in his shoes. Unfortunately, I got to put myself in the shoes of those guys and have empathy for those guys because we saw 8 minutes, but in that situation, in that high stress of a situation, everything goes so fast, and you're trying to get control of the situation. You have a crowd going. You're paying attention to so many other things than just what's right in front of you. And I know that, from having cop friends and for being a social worker, just having to pay attention to so many different things that's in front of you and not just one thing that's obvious. So being empathetic, I can say, hey, they might have been in a situation where they were overwhelmed and they didn't handle the stress well, but the human element should have kicked in.
All right, let me get some of these comments here. Really, I'm overhearing about COVID. I know, Amber, I'm sorry, but I think that you shouldn't hear the positive news because all you're going to hear is the negative news. Tracy says Michigan's voting system is a hot mess all over. They found absentee ballots missing in Maryland, Virginia, and all these other states, these liberal states, and even they are thinking, hey, wait, that might be bad too. If you got a blue state that's barely decided to go for Biden and we're missing some absentee ballots from the inner city, guess what? They're not going to like that either. So, hey, I demand voter ID for everybody. Kathleen says, replying to Amber, me too, I think America as a whole is tired of hearing about it. Liza said, I can't even watch the news and have not for months. Don't blame you. I'll tell you what. When I first started this show on COVID, I was very excited about this show. I love doing this show. But the hours that I have to consume the news on a day-to-day basis is depressing. I mean, I was literally glad to go away for a week last week, and I chose hardly to even get on Facebook because it has been so depressing of a year, 2020. Everything is blowing up. The media is biased. We got murder hornets flying around killing dogs. And, my God, maybe a praying mantis will work to kill it, but then maybe not. It's just been crazy. My only worry is they quit any of them, that this whole nation is going to freak out, but you are 100% right. Thank God, we cannot worry about that. Our jurisprudence has to be fair and impartial because you know who that protects? Everyone, right. Kathleen says, thank you, Kayla, for your impassioned thing. Dave, I agree, Jasper. Laura, I agree, Jasper. All right, guys, quit agreeing with Jasper. 2020 is a shit show.
Thank you.
All right, so that's the COVID update. Don't believe the media. And why are they doing this, by the way? What does the media have to lose right now? And the Democrats. Oh, they have something to lose.
Election.
Are you talking about the president? I mean,
yeah.
The election. Yeah.
I'll tell you what they have to lose. Here's a good example. Go ahead, Kayla. What were you saying?
They want to make it look as bad as they can so that they can put this all on Trump, like they are right now.
They want to stop his rallies. Once the media starts showing little bits and clips of 20, 30, 40,000 people cheering on our president, that doesn't fit their narrative. That is the one thing that got him elected in 2016. Look at this right here. Here's an example of media bias 101 for all my liberals who say, on the left, these tweets are literally 83 minutes apart. 83 minutes apart. On the left, you have rally for Black Trans Lives draws packed crowd at Brooklyn Museum Plaza. Not a mention of COVID-19. 83 minutes later, President Trump plans to rally his supporters next Saturday for the first time since most of the country was shuttered by the coronavirus, but health experts are questioning that decision. Extraordinarily dangerous, a top health official sounds dire warning about Trump. That's, boom, we just saw their true colors right there. Okay? If it fits the narrative that this country's on fire, like the Black Trans Lives, and they do matter. But if it fits that narrative, not a mention of COVID. How many times did you barely, if any, hear about COVID during the last 2 weeks of protests and rioting?
Barely.
Across the world.
Yeah.
London, Madrid, all over the United States. Never heard about it. It was gone, man. COVID, poof, gone. But, man, as soon as Trump announces, hey, okay, good, COVID's gone, I'm going to have me a rally. And 800,000 people in Oklahoma City have signed up to go to his rally. 800,000 signed up for tickets for an arena that's going to hold 20 or 30,000 max. And now all there, oh, man. Oh, you can't do that. You're going to spread coronavirus.
Well, it was the whole Juneteenth thing first. It was having it on Juneteenth. And if those people who don't know what Juneteenth is, if those of you who don't know what Juneteenth is, June 19th, I forget, slavery ended, I don't know the exact date, but June 19th is the actual day that all the slaves in the nation found out that slavery was ended.
And originally they were promised 40 acres and a mule, and they didn't get that. That was going to be the reparations, which I wish we'd have just given the reparations back then. 40 acres and a mule and true freedom. Cheaper. They didn't.
A lot cheaper.
So somebody commented on another site, Julie Shishi says, I think it's easy to say do the right thing, but look what happens when you do the right thing. In 2006, Carol Horn, a black Buffalo police officer, intervened when a white officer, Gregory Kwiatkowski, had a black suspect, David Mack, in a chokehold. Horn jumped on Kwiatkowski's back to prevent him from harming Mack. In 2008, she was fired from the Buffalo Police Department for her intervention in that case and lost her pension. Now, I actually saw another news story that she is actually going to get that pension. They have sued, and the city of Buffalo is agreeing to give that pension, I think, if I read it right.
You would have to give me 3 or 4 times pension at this point. Like, I wouldn't just take regular pension. You have to pay me.
Yeah, no, they're scared of a lawsuit. Let's just be real about that. All right, but back to this. COVID-19 is not a farce. It was something that was real. Was it something we should have shut down the whole world for? No.
No.
But if you're going to report fairly. That's all I ask of the media. Did you know, and I did a big media bias segment, the built-in advantage to the Democrat Party for media bias on a non-Trump year is about 10 points. I'm talking Bush, Kerry, Bush, Gore, Ronald Reagan, Walter Mondale, all those years, right? Clinton, Dole, yes, I remember them all. And Clinton, H.W. Bush. But in Trump land, as biased as they are against him, I bet you it's a 15 or 20 point thing. If the media were fair, if the media were fair, Trump would win this election, hands down. Yes, does he say some stupid shit? Got it. Agreed with you. Been on this show many times. Cut his Twitter fingers off. But when it comes to him actually policy-wise, we just had the greatest jobs report last month that came out and surprised everybody. Instead of job losses last month, we actually gained 2.15 or 2.2 million jobs. That's crazy. If that were Bill Clinton, if that were Barack Obama, if Gore would have won and had a job report after we threw ourselves in a needless depression, man, the media would be salivating. But because it's Trump, it's a different story. If you disagree with me, go ahead and comment. Like I said, you can also call in 443-247-5309, 443-247-5309. Make sure that you stay on mute until I unmute you. What were you going to say, Jasper?
Your 15-point quote was exactly right. Judge today had a shock poll, Biden up 14 points nationwide. I was like, there's no way. There's no way he's up 14, like plus 14 nationwide. But then I remember Republicans don't respond to polls like they should.
Not just that;
Republicans
those are
don't respond
suppression polls, man. And Drudge has had a problem with Trump for the last year. Drudge has been very anti-Trump, which whatever. But I did that whole segment on polling, and I compared 2016 and 2012 and 2008, and they will all show. Heck, at this time last year, they were saying exactly the same thing. Oh, Hillary Clinton might pull Texas off. Hillary Clinton's going to win this state and that state. She's expanding the electoral college map, and she ended up losing. Why? One, what you said. Republicans don't tend to take polls, especially live polls, especially if they have a person of color who's doing it. A lot of white people will be like, no, or even black people are hesitant to say Trump to a live person because they feel like they're going to get castigated. All right, and they found that to be true. Here's what I look at. Is in my opinion, is Trump in trouble? Yes. I think he's in trouble right now. But Kathleen had it right. Polls are fake news right now. The election is not going to be decided today. The election will be decided in the last 3 to 4 weeks, news coverage, when the polls naturally tighten up anyways. Why? Because pollsters are judged on that last month and the last weeks of an election on how close they got it. So then all of a sudden, magically, the polls will tighten up. Second, yes, I still say Trump is in trouble compared to last election. Why? Because he had a bad news cycle where he said some stupid shit like, hey, let's inject bleach in our veins, which isn't really what he said, but kind of what he said. Okay? But the enthusiasm gap is crazy. A poll came out today, and they said, hey, how enthusiastic are you to vote as a Trump supporter? And they said 53% says we are very enthusiastic. Like, we are going, we're getting our friends to go and all that. When they asked the same thing about Biden, this poll found 23% were enthusiastic about Biden. We know that elections come down to the ground game, so that's his only saving grace. That, and if he shuts up right now and changes the narrative and starts having his rallies and stays on message, he will win this election. Because Biden is a weak candidate. Hey, did you hear what happened in the Supreme Court today? What was the big news?
That transgenders are protected under the Equal Protections Act under the Constitution?
No, not the Constitution. Constitution, they're protected because of federal law of 1964.
Oh, it's about a sanctuary city?
No. I'm talking about the transgender. You're right. You're almost right. Okay. You're almost there, buddy.
Sorry.
No, they looked at the law, and the court, Justice Alito is pissed about it. He says Supreme Court discrimination ruling is like a pirate ship falsely sailing under a textualist flag. He said the court tries to convince readers that it's merely enforcing the terms of the statute, the 1964 Civil Rights Act, but that's preposterous. Even as understood today, the concept of discrimination between or because of sex is different from discrimination because of sexual orientation or gender identity. What he's saying is in 1964, you always got to read the laws at the time that they are written for what they were meant. Okay? He's not saying that transgenders cannot be protected, but change the law. Don't just make up the law as you go, Supreme Court. That's called activist judges. That's called writing laws from the bench. I found this thing, and I rarely do this, but I have a friend on there named David Howell. He's a Facebook friend. I got it up here. I think he summed it up the best way possible. What may seem a victory for homosexual and transgender people in today's decision of Bostock versus Clayton County is a disaster for the notion of separations of powers and the rule of law in the U.S. The Supreme Court took a law, read the plain language of that law, noted that all the parties agreed on what Congress meant when they passed it, noted that Congress has actually tried to amend the law several times, including one such attempt that is actually pending right now, but then decided that they should simply rewrite the law to comport with modern policy preferences, sidestepping Congress's constitutional authority to make the law. I don't know what is worse, the fact that the Supreme Court has clearly become the legislator of last resort, or that so many people don't notice this fact or don't care about this fact, because, quote, the ends justify the means. This is very, very bad jurisprudence. That is very true because right now it might benefit the left. Someday they're going to be mad when we start rereading laws to benefit the right. And they're going to scream like hell, just like their hypocrisy during COVID virus. I'll leave it open for comments.
Yeah, we're just screaming about activist judges. I remember, at least in my life, since 2005, when the Supreme Court, started making these decisions and the federal court started making these decisions from the bench that were automatically taken for the rule of law, instead of Congress taking up the issue and writing the laws as laws, the Supreme Court makes these decisions. And, even Roe v. Wade, has Roe v. Wade ever been codified in the law?
Never.
I know it's just a Supreme Court decision, which
Right.
is
Which
not
should have been a states' right thing.
exactly. So activist judges, I mean, unfortunately, if it's not checked, really soon, it's going to be too late. If it's
But I
not too late
thought
already.
with the passing of Samuel Alito, or not Samuel Alito, man,
I know you're talking about.
anyways,
I can't think his name
with
either.
the changing of the guard, even he was a conservative, but with Anthony Kennedy stepping down, now we had Gorsuch. We have we have a pretty solid majority, a conservative majority on a Federalist majority on the court. You would think that they would read the laws as written and say, "Hey, look, we agree. Personally, we think yes, people shouldn't be able to get fired because they want to chop off their pecker, right? But or who they want to have sex with. But that's not how the law was written. We cannot write laws for Congress. They must address this thing. At this time, we have to uphold the firings, right? Instead, they're making these laws. It was supposed to be with Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and all these people on the bench, Roberts, who's actually turned out to be a pretty big disappointment. What happens? I'll tell you what happens. These guys go to Washington, D.C. as these high, and they go to their little fancy tea parties because now they're the highest court of the land, and they get influenced by all their friends, like, oh, we can't talk to you anymore because you voted this way and you voted this way, and they want friends in D.C., which is a very liberal area, and they're infected. Like what they say, this guy went to Washington to change Washington, but instead Washington changed him or her. And that's the thing. I think we could all agree that people should be able to, if you want to work at a restaurant and chop your pecker off, then you should be able to do that. But is it in the law that they're forced to accept that? And that's where it all comes down to. All right, I'm going to get into a pretty nasty thing here. Listen, what happened in Atlanta last week was sad, but it was not a George Floyd situation. Now, go ahead and cue up. Everybody's going to be mad at me right now. All you wokesters and people that aren't even wokesters but are very passionate about this, and I agree. I think we need to have this tough conversation. But what happened in Atlanta last week is not the same as George Floyd. All right? Today, the media is making a big deal about it because it was ruled a homicide. Well, the law school, Cornell Law School, says homicide is when one human being causes the death of another. Not all homicide is murder, as some killings are manslaughter and some are lawful, such as when justified by an affirmative defense like insanity or self-defense or the police. So yes, the media, it's ruled the homicide, because they're trying to stoke those fires again because they want nothing more than to see a Wendy's burn. Mark my words, the media wants this world to be on fire this year because of Trump's reelection. That guy, and I don't usually do this, I only posted this because it was actually a decent meme that is insensitive but kind of brings it home. And it says, "Hi, my name is Brooks Richard. I was sentenced to 7 years for beating my kids, but was out on parole due to COVID-19. I got very drunk and decided to drive. When an officer tried to arrest me for my second DUI, I took his taser and tried to fire at him because I knew that I'd be sent back to jail. Now people want to make me a martyr. Don't fall for it." I totally agree with that. What do you say, Jasper?
I have a problem with that. I have a problem with it.
Go ahead. Talk to me, buddy.
So this man, because he was a human being, this man was asleep in his car because he was drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't have been drunk. Shouldn't have been behind the wheel. I understand that. That's perfectly fine. The police come and they talk to him. He doesn't know where he's at. If you see the video, he's very, very disoriented. Don't know where he's at. He's very respectful.
Time out. He is very respectful. So are the cops. And he's, by the way, he's in the drive-thru. He's not parked. Like, people want to make it sound like he is parked. He was just sleeping off his alcohol, which is, by the way, is still illegal. But go ahead.
So but they finally get him pulled off to the side where he's out of the drive-thru, but very respectful, complies, agrees to the breathalyzer. Now at this point, he and the police have a choice. The police can, hey, you're drunk, you shouldn't be drunk, but we can get you home. Find out where you, as a community policing thing, we can get you home to make sure you don't hurt anybody on the streets. Give you a ticket, give you a bench ticket where you can come answer this, DUI. Fine.
That's not how it works.
No. Wait. He has a choice of, if they decide to arrest him, not to fight, which he does, and they get into a scuffle, He takes the taser and he runs away.
Right.
The police officer chases him.
Yep.
Unfortunately, being drunk, not in the right state of mind, he turns around, fires the taser. At this point, the police officer knows he has a taser in his hand. He's already patted it down, so he knows he doesn't have a gun. Moves the taser from his right hand to his left, pulls out his gun, and shoots at his back. Now, this is me Monday morning quarterbacking. I'm not a cop. I'm not in a situation. It's easy for me to say this because I wasn't in that situation. However, the whole Black Lives Matter movement is focused on situations just like this. Why? And I'm going to bring a parallel situation because there was a case just like this in Georgia with an individual who was Caucasian, did the exact same thing. Wait, I know what you're going to say. He did the exact same thing. They apprehended him without pulling out their guns. They apprehended him.
And I applaud them for doing that. But that doesn't mean that they can do that in every single situation.
But I'm bringing the other side out. What the Black Lives Matter movement is saying and why they say Black Lives Matter is at that point in time, the cop pulled his gun out to use deadly force without thinking. This guy shot a taser at me. My life's not in danger, but I'm going to shoot this guy to stop him, not thinking about this guy's life. That's the problem that we have in the Black community. It's not that we're defending him for doing what he did.
You absolutely are.
Was wrong.
And guess what? This is where I'm going to say, hey, more white people are killed at the hands of cops than black people unarmed. This guy was armed. Hold on. Let me see what this caller has to say real quick. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hello.
Hi, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Guam. I'm calling from Guam.
Hey, how are you today?
Thank you, Nate. I like your platform. I want you to just get this out on the ways because it's going to be a constant concern. I'm hoping Trump wins, but aren't we afraid that if he does win, that there's just going to be more massive riots, like the day after the election or the day of the election? That's all I want to say. I'm going to hang up. Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. I mean, I don't think that we can judge, just like we can't hope that these officers are convicted just to avoid a riot. We can't elect officials just to avoid a riot. And if they want to riot, what they're trying to do is start a civil war. And we're going to get onto that in a minute with this Chaz thing, these autonomous zones. But, and we'll get right into that. Thanks for your call, Dave. Listen, bottom line is this. The dude was on parole. He knew what he was doing because he wasn't that drunk. He was a .108. Shouldn't have been driving. Definitely shouldn't be sleeping in a drive-thru. If they came up on this guy and he happened to just be having his keys and he was just trying to sleep off his alcohol so he could do the right thing, okay, yeah, more of a wiggle room.
What does him being a parole have to do with anything?
It does. It has everything because his mindset was, I do not want to go back to prison. He just got out of prison on a sympathy parole. He was not supposed to be drinking. And so when he tried to run, he literally tried to incapacitate that thing. Now, tasers are not called non-lethal force. In the law enforcement and legal computer, they're less than lethal. Mm-hmm. In other words, they are the last step before actual permanent lethal is. Tasers kill 500 people a year. Okay? Tasers have killed 500 people. So they are not considered non-lethal force. That cop was very polite to him, by the way. All of them were very polite to each other. He said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to place you under arrest. That's win a fight. That guy single-handedly took down 2 cops and stole a taser. If that cop would have been tased by that guy, had it been successful, it could have incapacitated him and he could have grabbed a gun. The guy was desperate to get away from the police because he wanted to get home and not go back to prison. Okay? This is not a George Floyd thing. Can we armchair quarterback this thing? Sure, we can. But when you're in the heat of the moment, this guy did what he had to do. And I'm not going to sit there and have a riot every single time a cop uses deadly force against somebody who tried less than lethal or lethal force against a police officer. These guys, the reason why cops are given more wiggle room is because instead of running away like we do, when shots are fired, what do? We run and hide. Cops are trained to run to it. So they have to be given a little bit more wiggle room than that. Kayla, what do you guys say about this? And I'll let Jasper get in on it.
The thing is that we need serious police reform. No, like this is ridiculous in general. Because if you think about it, you have my husband go overseas and he isn't allowed to use his gun. to go kill someone without having a report sit right there. So why are these police allowed to just go ahead and shoot people? Yes, of course, their lives matter. Yes, of course, they should be able to use force if their lives are in danger. But at this point, I feel like everyone is so worried because of what we've turned the situation into that all police feel so threatened, and that's what it's turned into. So if it's turned into the situation where police feel so threatened that they are using deadly force because they're worried that someone is going to harm them at all times, then we need to look into our system and say, hey, you're not doing this job for the right reasons anymore. You are supposed to be here to help people. You are supposed to be here to help protect our community. And I feel like it's not turned into that anymore. Of course, if someone is to harm, he was, he obviously was, not in the right state of mind. He wasn't doing the right things, of course. But also, if he's not causing harm to someone, nobody should be shot either.
Do you
And
think,
I don't
do you
think
think
that
it was?
I don't.
Do you think he was getting? You think he was? Would you think so? There were 2 tasers on the whole entire scene.
Okay.
One of the tasers did not work. The other taser was stolen. So they're out of less than lethal force. The cops have.
So let's just shoot the guy in the back. Let's just shoot.
He wasn't shot in the back. He was shot in the back.
He was shot 2 times in the back.
He was, but the way he was turned had his back exposed while having a taser, and so he was shot in the back. But they're making it sound like he was running and shot like dead in the back. It wasn't like that. He was shot with his body turned, and the bullet struck him on that side of his body. Okay,
so let's not get it mistaken. I'm not defending him. He did wrong. He should have never resisted arrest. He should have never stolen the taser. He should have never ran. He should have never turned around and fired that taser at the cop. He did wrong. All right, I'm not defending his actions. A lot of blacks,
after just tackling both of them himself, he was a big guy.
Yeah, but a lot of black people, and I've talked to a lot of my friends, we haven't said anything because we're like, yeah, this ain't the same as George Floyd.
It ain't. That's the whole premise.
The focus of the video, which we as black people look at versus what other people are looking at and defending the cop, they're looking at the guy. They're looking at the guy fighting the police officers, taking the taser and running off. He should have did that. The cops, blah 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 blah. We're looking at the cop's decision to have a taser in his hand, move it from this hand, pull out his gun, and shoot the guy. Now, a lot of people don't know that this taser didn't work. However, to go from less than lethal force to lethal force.
The lethal force in his hand was no longer working. His taser had failed. So what, is he supposed to click his taser a couple times so a video camera might catch it that he tried? No.
Again, Monday morning quarterbacking.
Exactly.
Monday morning quarterbacking. Once the guy's taser, once the guy shot that taser, it was no longer usable. He dropped it.
This is why people are quitting. This is why people are quitting the police departments nationwide. Samantha says, I cannot imagine being an officer unbelievable. Kathleen says exactly, Kayla, but people will argue that police are not military. People are pissed off over this shit. Laura said he shouldn't have grabbed the taser. Isn't that a threat? Gordy says, well, he don't have to go back to prison now. Move on. Sean says this man could have hijacked a car and killed anyone. I'm tired of people virtue signaling, man. Where was all this energy a few months ago? It seems like people only jump on the bandwagon when they feel they can get some social brownie points. Let me tell you what happens when cops are scared to use lethal force now. Let's just watch this video here real quick for everybody to see. This right here is a guy named David Dorn. He was out during the riots helping protect his friend's pawn shop. He was a retired police chief and a police captain.
OG.
I didn't want to show this.
OG.
This guy's dead.
OG, come on, stay with me, OG. OG, stay with me. Stay with me, OG. Stay with me, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG, stay with me. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG, stay with me. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Damn, man, over some TVs, cuz. Over some TVs, man. For real. That's somebody's granddaddy, cuz. Man, fuck you, nigga.
Excuse the language on it. That broke my heart listening to that guy. That guy cared so much for that guy. He didn't realize he was a police. He just called him OG, which is a term for older men in the hood. The guy is literally sad. He's like over some TVs. And these 3 gentlemen, I ain't even gonna call them gentlemen. These 3 people here have been arrested so far. The guy on the
I
left
call them
there,
thugs, 3 thugs, because that's what the fuck they are. They thugs.
the guy on the left there has been on charges 3 or 4 times, but as common in inner cities where the judges try to give them chance after chance after chance, the guy was out. He should have been in prison already, and he was out, and here he is again, offending, this time killing somebody because he was trying to defend. He wanted to get his flat screen TV out of the pawn shop, and that poor officer is dead. And guess what? No, hardly any media press, national press on this. Why? Because it didn't fit the narrative. And I'm sad about it. The guy, it broke my heart listening to that guy. He literally is sad that this stranger is dead.
Stay with me. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Damn, man. Over some TVs, cuz. Over some TVs, man. For real. That's somebody granddaddy, cuz. Man, fuck you, nigga. What y'all trying to do? Fuck you talking about? Y'all kill this man over some TVs, cuz.
That guy's brave, because those guys are still on the scene. He's actually yelling at the actual shooters there.
Bro, you good, bro. It's okay, bro.
Look at him,
Just
still
relax,
moving.
bro.
He's still alive.
Relax, bro. Relax, bro. Over some TV, you was doing the right thing. You was doing the right old thing. He was trying to protect it, but at the same time, it's the wrong. It's too much going on for that, OG. Come on, OG. We better than that, OG.
Breaks my
Out
heart.
of the street for me, man. St. Louis.
Breaks my heart. And that guy had so much empathy for this stranger. That's what broke my heart. And he was actually the last one to say, by the way, George Floyd there was mouthing, I need help, help, help. But the police couldn't get to him. Why? Because they were busy. They were blocked in. They were out helping people or protecting other businesses that were being looted and fired upon. Absolutely heartbreaking. This is what I'm talking about. And we talked about this a little bit before the show. We need to have these uncomfortable conversations. But if Black Lives Matter, which I believe they do, and I'm not even doing this all lives matter stuff. I had a good friend say, hey, going all lives matter is like going to a breast cancer awareness thing and saying, hey, all cancers matter. No, we're talking about Black lives now. But if Black lives matter, then they all need to matter, including David Dorn's. Okay? Including what you're about to see here in a second, where this is just captured on a Ring video. Just today or yesterday, it was released. Washington, D.C., Northeast Washington, D.C. Let me play this for you real quick. Let me stop there. Notice the guys in the black car just pull out like an AK-47 or something. This isn't Iraq, folks. This is Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Here come the cops. Notice the people in the black car? They put their stuff away. They hide their guns. They as a cop rolls up here, they act like the good guys. Just walking away. Here comes a cop. You can see coming in the right-hand screen. Remember, it's a Ring video, so everything looks warped. All right, guys. This isn't Saudi Arabia or Iraq, Afghanistan. This is our nation's capital. It just happened. Okay? I believe Black Lives Matter. I've stood from the beginning with Ahmaud Arbery, with George Floyd. I'm against police killing, but I'm also against our fellow Americans murdering themselves in the hood or in Appalachia with heroin or all that stuff. We need to get it together, America. And this is the stuff, this is the lawlessness that the Democrat Party has created in every major city in this country. every one of these cities where there's been mass killings like that, 14 out of the last 16 police shootings at the hands of unarmed people all happened in Democrat cities. And when are we going to change how we do business here? Jasper? I mean, I know you get called an Uncle Tom and everything else because you happen to vote and think, hey, it should be different.
It definitely needs to be different, man. Like I've been saying I recognized from a long time ago that the Democratic Party is not where we need to put our stock. We shouldn't, as a community, as a people, as an American people, the Democratic Party is an enemy of us, of our ideals, of our freedoms, of our wills. They're forcing their ideals on us that we don't want as a people, and then they have the media helping them shape it in a way that makes it seem like if you don't agree with us, then you're the enemy.
Yeah, you're the bigot.
You're racist. You're Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
You're the bigot. Correct. Yeah. You're xenophobic. President Trump, just looking back how shallow and how slow we are as a people. President Trump had that travel ban on January 31st. On January 31st, he said, I'm banning all travel from China. The next day, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, CNN, he's a xenophobic. He's just stirring up fears. The COVID won't be that bad. And Dr. Anthony Fauci on February 14th was on CNN. It's like, Dr. COVID will not be that bad. It will not be that bad. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, when, Italy started to shut down and Europe started to get bad, and then we got our first case and it started to get bad, they're like, oh, well, why didn't he do anything sooner? He didn't do it. And then that became the story. And they kept repeating it over and over again. So people forgot what they were saying about him a month earlier.
Yeah,
so
because the media is their megaphone. Kayla, if you didn't work where you worked, let's say you worked, just another tech company in recruiting, would you be comfortable letting people know that Trump's not a bad guy?
So, the thing is that I'm the kind of person that I don't put my political opinion out there due to the fact that I don't think it matters. It doesn't define me. That doesn't define anyone. And, watching all these videos, I didn't say anything, during the time, but I will say something a little bit pretty quickly. So we're not stuck on it as well. But, it honestly, watching all this, it really does disgust me. The fact that we've gotten so far away from like that we're all people, like the fact that we're fighting about why are we on the Democratic side, why are we on the Republican side, what does it matter? We're all humans. Why does it matter what my beliefs are? As long as my beliefs aren't hurting you, what does it matter? What does it matter that I'm white? What does it matter that anyone's a different color? Why does it matter now? Like like I understand we've had this problem forever and it seems to never go away, but that's our underlying issue. Yes, we need police reform. We need to have police that genuinely care about the fellow people that they're that are in their communities, not worried about the skin color. Like it's just it baffles me that our community and our nation has gotten so far into worrying about a skin color or worrying about a political view that we have so much hate for everyone that we have to worry about walking down the street and I have to worry about, hey, is someone going to hate me because they think that, I'm white and I'm racist? Or, hey, the same thing with a black person. They have to walk down the street. Hey, do I have to worry about a cop that they're going to shoot me because they're scared of me? Like, what is like that? It just blows my mind at this point that we even have to worry about this kind of stuff.
I agree.
Like, if you're a police and you genuinely don't care about the greater good of people and you're worried about, a skin color, this or that, and you genuinely aren't worried about someone's life next, then quit your job. You need to go. Like, and if it's just the reality of the situation is if you have that much hate, then get out. Just get out of this country. Like you just need to go. Like if you like this is the problem. People shouldn't be dying because of George Floyd. This happens and then people are protesting by attacking stores and this and that. Like why are we doing that? Like that's not doing anything. Like it just blows my mind that so much hate comes from something that should bring us together. Say, hey, we don't like what the blacks have an issue with the fact that this police did this to someone. Why are we not coming together? Why are we attacking people's stores? Why are we giving people the chance where they literally have to worry about building their lives again because we're stealing from them? How is that even a part of George Floyd? That has nothing to do with it. We should be saying, hey, this is what happened. Let's fix this. Let's come together. That's all that should be coming from this. Like, black or white, like,
but it
we're
all
supposed to be
started,
brothers and
Kayla.
sisters. Like, it's just beyond me.
Kayla, it all started in the 70s and 80s with the liberalism and the hyphenating everybody in America. You no longer American. Now you were African American, Latino American, gay American, transgender American, this American, that American. And what it did was it turned us into little tribes. And tribalism, even the Bible says, I think it's the Bible says it, a house divided against itself will fall. And it will. In fact, what's the first thing they teach you in the military is cohesion, one team. Regardless, you're not black, white, they tell you you're green. At least in the Army, they say you're green. Everybody's green. There's no male, there's no female, there's no black, white, brown. We're all green. And that's taught from the beginning because you have to have that cohesiveness. And if we all came together, like you said, and just became Americans, then we could probably talk to each other a little bit more. I always try to find common ground. I've changed my opinion on climate change in the last 10 years. I've changed on a lot of things. I have never had, I don't think any of my Democrat friends have changed any of their things. They're so entrenched. And that's not just my Democrat friends. There's a lot of people that are just so entrenched in this polarization. So much so that we now have autonomous zones, which are illegal, by the way. Have you heard of Chaz?
No.
The Capitol Hill, not Capitol Hill in Seattle, Capitol Hill. Autonomous zone, Chaz. Yeah. You're now leaving the USA, Capitol Hill. Liberal utopia is supposed to be.
Yeah.
First of all, if you're leaving the United States and that's Chaz, you just started a civil war. Okay? And the fact that the Democrat police chief and mayor and the Democrat governor are such wusses they won't go in there and say, no, we're all Washingtonians. We're all Seattleans, whatever you want to call it, Washingtonians, and then we're all Americans. But instead they're sitting there saying, well, this is just nothing more than a love fest. Well, guess what? These same leftists that hate fences and deportations sure as hell have no problem deporting people that they don't like and creating fences around their autonomous zone. Let's watch this real quick. This is a pastor, by the way, a preacher. Just fast forward a little bit. There's a street preacher. Those guys get on my nerves too. Oh, I guess it wasn't showing. Let me re-show it. I'm sorry. My bad. This is what tolerance looks like, folks, in a liberal utopia. They kick them out of there. So, sorry about that, folks. I didn't show it. That's what happens when I'm producing and doing everything at the same time. Oh, by the way, look at the picture on the right. These anti-gun liberals sure don't mind guns, assault rifles now, and it's protecting their Chaz zone. It's the hypocrisy of the left. And I think that's what America's tired of. Okay? They also decided they were going to deport a Mexican yesterday, too, that didn't believe the way they believed. But then there are these two ladies, these courageous ladies that I just love. And you're seeing this a lot more. And I think that this is also not being represented in the poll. This should make Kareem happy, Darius happy, Jasper happy. You're not alone. You are not alone. These two black females here have decided to let it out on this woke white liberal. And they're the worst.
I would be in the same position you're in, so I'm not even mad at you, baby. For feeling like fake news. This is the thing. I know people don't like Trump. I understand that. But let me tell you something. If I had to pick between him and Joe Biden, I'm not voting in Joe Biden. You want to see a bunch of black people go to jail by the next 4 years? Put Joe Biden. Watch what happens. You want to see black men get killed substantially? like you've never seen before, put Joe Biden in and watch what happens. These Democrats, and I'm sorry to say this, I'm not trying to be racist, but they hate black people. These are the same people who fought to keep slavery in. These are the same people who built the KKK. These are the same people who hated us from the beginning. The Republican Party is the party of the blacks. Blacks free, the Republican Party is the only party that the black people actually assisted in finding. But all of that history has been torn away. People say, oh, there was this big switch. There was never a big switch. The Union won because we had grown in the industrial era. So we were able to get trains and get supplies back to our soldiers while the Confederate was still riding.
And I'll leave a link for the rest of that video. It's about 2.5 minutes long, but man, does
she was spitting history. I love her. What's
she
her
does.
name?
And you know, she, I don't know. No, she's just this random lady who is on there. She's a street preacher too. Not as annoying as the white guy who was getting kicked out. Not that he should have gotten kicked out. Look, I'm a big time Christian, okay? Love God, love Jesus, okay? But when you go up there and you're telling everybody you're going to hell, repent for your sins, and you're beating them down at a rally, you know, it's that nobody's listening to you, dude. Nope. In fact, you kind of make people feel a little uncomfortable, and they're like, "Oh, good, they should feel uncomfortable. The end times are near and all that." You know what? There's a place and a time to do it. I'm all about street evangelism, but evangelism has to take place one-on-one because nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care about them personally, right? So, but she comes out and she just puts it out there. Hey, you know, the Republican Party is the party of black people, and it sure is. It's not the party of illegal people, but black people. In fact, you know who hates Jewish people and black people? Democrat Party. Here's a video that, let me show you this. It's of Mayor de Blasio, okay? So he was just out yesterday, marching with the Black Trans Lives Matter protesters and orders contact tracers not to ask people if they were even at protests, but the city is welding shut a park that is largely used by Hasidic Jews. This guy has a problem with the Jewish community, man. He is really, really taking them on head on and just discriminating against them. Yep, that's them welding the fence shut of a Hasidic playground, or a playground, a public playground used by mostly Hasidic Jews that live in the area. Okay, but he has no problem out there marching. Again, don't take this as, oh, Nate's against Black Trans Lives Matter. I believe all lives matter. I don't even mean to say that way. Black lives matter. Black trans lives matter. If white people are pissed off when they get killed by a cop, by all means, white lives matter. Go out and protest. Everybody will join you. I'm sure they will. Black, white, brown, green, purple, does not matter. But you know what? My God, get with it, man. You can't sit there and just attack this one community when you've been out there not social distancing. And by the way, Mayor de Blasio had to take a day off work today because he felt sick. Don says, let these Antifa turds set up as many autonomous zones they like. Let all the liberals move in, but let none come out. We will supply food. Come November, they can no longer vote. They are no longer U.S. citizens. When Trump wins, move in and arrest all the occupants of zones and take back our territory. America. Hey, well said, Sean. Well said. That is the comment of the day right there. Well freaking said. Move them all in, and then don't let them vote because they disavowed their American citizenship. Love it.
Give them all the pot they want, so they're too high to even think about voting.
Yeah, all the pot they want. Yeah. All right, let's get out some little bit lighter news. Oscars have been postponed from February to April 2021 due to coronavirus pandemic. Who freaking who? I hope they permanently get postponed. You know why? All they are is like this liberal love fest talking like, you know, all like when what's his name, Robert De Niro, F Trump, and all this stuff. You know what? Here's my thing, right? Kayla, you're a hell of a recruiter. Didn't even know until today she was a self-taught recruiter. But she says, you know, politics don't define her. She's a recruiter. She's a mom. She's a wife. All these basketball players and football players and everybody else, at the end of the day, we're paying to watch you do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Shut up and act. Nobody wants to hear about your political views. Okay? Now, sometimes there's a big thing that happens, like the tsunami, remember a few years ago, or and they had the other tsunami that took out the things, and sad, they might say, hey, we stand with the people of Japan or something. Got it. Nobody wants to hear about your political feelings about Donald Trump. That's the one night that everybody should tune out and just party. What do you think? Kayla, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's gotten to the point where like I mean, why does our political opinion matter? What does it matter what we believe? You know, and the thing is that why I'm so like, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat. Everyone has different, you know, has different ideas. and some are good on both sides. And anyone that looks at both sides, you can't say one side's great. Neither one of them are great. So if people stop thinking about putting themselves in a category and saying, hey, I have to like everything with Democrats, or I have to like everything Republicans. If people stop being so narrow-minded and actually looks and said, hey, there's good points to both, and realize that we're all human and everyone's going to have different views, but some are good from both sides, and stop putting ourselves in a little box, maybe we'd learn to stop hating everyone so much. Like, there's no reason for this. There's no reason for any of this.
All right, you're kicked off the show.
That's the reality.
Where's your husband at? I like him better.
I still hate everybody. I hate everybody. I don't like anybody.
No, I agree with you. I agree. I've totally changed my position on climate change. Climate change. If you don't believe in climate change, I got a story to tell you. Okay, there's a lot of things that I have changed my position on. Ask me 5 years ago, the Black Lives Matter movement, I thought it was just a bunch of whining babies, quit committing crimes, you won't interact with cops. Now, thanks to video technology and YouTube, I see that there's a real problem with policing in America and in minority communities. I stand with my my fellow Americans. Okay, so there are things that I agree with you there. Hey, you want to know who's tough?
But just
go ahead.
Just what you just said right there. Like your mindset is only on like, hey, I have to think this way, and that's so like that's what everyone's at. That's what I think is so wrong, is that that's where everyone is at this point. We have to have this one, you either have to be this way or that way, and if you're this way and that way, something's wrong with you. And
but there used to be moderation, though.
With the Black Lives Matter situation, it's all about police reform right there. That's and trying to make it so that we can fix these issues and come together. But that's not what it turns into. It turns into a political matter, and it shouldn't turn into that. So that's my main problem, is that these political matters are turning, it's like turning everything into politics. It doesn't matter. Who cares about the politics about it? Yes, we have to deal with politics so that we can make sure our community is safe, and we have to make sure these laws pass and things like that. And I get that. But when it comes to the heart of someone, or, worrying about, someone's life or that has nothing to do with politics. That has to do with being a genuinely decent human being.
That's right. And that's where we can all come together on this Churchfoot thing. Totally agree. Let's move on to one last subject, because we are actually out of time. But I do want to show this. This is one tough woman. Misha Tate, ex-UFC champ, gives birth on bathroom floor with MMA star husband unexpectedly delivering her son. Okay, they were in Singapore, didn't have time to go to the hospital. That girl just sat down and, I don't know how do you say it, squatted it out? I don't want to be disrespectful, but that's a tough woman, because she didn't have any drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Squatted it out. Wow.
That is actually, in America, from what I've heard, we actually do birth the wrong way, laying on our back. You're actually supposed to kind of squat or be on all fours. That's more natural for the baby to come out. I don't know why we do it that way, but apparently she did something. She got it out. I think all your moms can appreciate that. My wife definitely used drugs when she had her birth. Did you use drugs? Epidural?
I had a C-section. So.
Oh, did you? Okay, so you're definitely under. So, but bottom line, that's a painful process that she went through on her own. Kudos to her. She's not only tough in the ring, but in the octagon, but she's actually tough. She's a tough mom too. Hey, thanks for coming back, watching us again. It was fun. I know we went a little over time. Amber says with epidural you couldn't move, but yeah, she definitely did. But hey, thanks for joining us tomorrow night. We will be back at 9 p.m. tomorrow. I believe that we have, he might be back. He's a police officer, so I'm not sure if the city's unrest has come down to where he can be back on. If not, we will have other guest hosts on, or he might be just stuck with me. But we will see you tomorrow. Make sure that you like and subscribe. And if you have any other follow comments, go ahead and share this video, comment on it. We'd love to read it. We'll read it tomorrow. See ya.
This has been Nightcaps with Nate. Please join Nate for a nightcap every weeknight at 9 Eastern here on Facebook Live.
Peace.